via a prescribed authority via a court.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah, it is quite intense, right? So, which is
Yeah.
why I'll always emphasize when I first chat to my couples and I back it up with emails and I'll say it's really, really important. It's critical that if you want to marry, you need to serve your notice to do that.
Mm.
And you do that via the notice of intended marriage form that I will send you. Jump on it now so that you don't forget. Once that's done um, and lodged with the celebrant, you don't have to wait. You don't have to worry about it. And
Oh,
closer to your wedding date, then it's really about just building your perfect ceremony. And, a celebrant like me would then build the rest of the legals for the day that the couple
oh, perfect.
would then
So
sign.
basically, there's one big thing they need to make sure they take care of individually
One
for
big thing,
themselves.
one big thing, but then there is another, a declaration of no legal impediment,
Ah,
which has to be signed, which is like a stat dec,
okay.
which is basically saying that there's no legal reason, there's no legal impediment to their
Hmm.
marriage, there's no legal reason they can't marry each other.
Like
Um,
they're currently perhaps secretly already still married or something like that.
Absolutely. So basically, that is saying I'm marriageable age.
Hmm.
So I'm an age that I can marry. I'm
Hmm.
not in a prohibited relationship. I haven't suddenly realised that we're brother and sister. Um, the law in this country does allow you to go kind of adjacent. You can marry aunties and uncles and cousins and that sort of thing, but you can't go up or down a line.
Right.
So it's basically saying that there's no prohibition in terms of the relationship to this marriage,
Hmm.
and there's nothing legally that would stand in the way of us doing this. Marriageable age, not prohibited to marry, and there's no other legal reason that I couldn't marry this person. And we would then sign that. Now, lots of celebrants argue this point because the Marriage Act actually says, I can't remember the specific wording, but it says something like as close to the wedding as possible. Now, what most trainers in the industry will say, it's roughly around 10 days,
Hmm.
10, 14 days at a stretch. Some celebrants will argue and say, well, I'm catching up with this couple 6 months out, and this is the last time I'm going to see them before their wedding day. This is as close to the wedding as possible. So I'm going to have the couple sign that form, which
Right.
there's different schools of thought. I've tried to sit on the closer side of the fence and do it
Hmm.
as close as possible. If I'm lucky enough to be able to see that couple, within a couple of weeks to their wedding date, then I'll have them sign it. I'll take it with them if we're doing a rehearsal or catching up. But largely, what I do is I have them sign that form on their wedding day. Now, what they have to do is sign that form before they marry. So normally one of the parties to the marriage is there before the other. So I'll have that person sign the declaration of no legal impediment. And then when the other party arrives, I always step off anyway, step away from the ceremony space and go and check on the other party and make sure that their nerves are okay. They don't need anything before we start. They don't need a toilet break. Sometimes if it's a bride, there might be an issue with a veil or something. We've got to fix something or, things do tend to happen. Or sometimes if, I've found in the past, if a couple has kids before they marry, you know, the page boy, the flower girl needs to go to the toilet. So we're kind of
Yeah.
waiting for that to happen. So it gives me time to check on everyone. We then sign off that declaration of an illegal impediment. I then step back and we're kind of ready to kick off and start the ceremony.
Wonderful. So
So
it
two
really
big
sounds
things.
like it's a really like I don't mean to make it sound reductive, but I mean even from someone who's not a celebrant, like outside here, and if I'm getting married at some point, like it sounds like it's actually not that difficult. There's just a process to follow, and as you say, structure, some element of structure in the back
Yeah.
end is really important to reduce the stresses that may come in those last 30 to 45 days of a wedding in the lead up. So listen to your celebrants. I think that is the best
Listen to
part.
your celebrants, people. A couple other things. So with the NOIM, obviously, with that, if you have been married before, you'll need to provide evidence of the dissolution of any previous marriage
Hmm.
or of the last previous marriage, and you'll also need to provide some ID. So all
No.
you need to marry in terms of ID is a passport, or in lieu of a passport, a birth certificate and a driver's license.
Huh. There you go.
Now, so that's in the lead up to the wedding. Then on the
Hmm.
wedding day, after you've signed the declaration of no legal impediment, the ceremony is performed. If you're signing within the ceremony or after the ceremony, you'll then sign two official certificates of marriage, and you'll sign a commemorative certificate. The fancy name we use is Form 15. It's very fancy.
Ooh. Very
Um,
sexy.
very sexy. So those are the other. So basically, on the day, we need 15 signatures.
Oh,
If you
really?
consider, yeah. So we sign. We're obviously signing two official certificates of marriage,
Mm,
and we're also signing the commemorative Form 15. Right. So that's the celebrant. We're signing three times. The bride and groom, or bride and bride, whoever they are,
mm,
needs to sign three times. And then they're witnesses. So there needs to be witnesses, two witnesses, 18 years of age or over, obviously.
mm.
They need to sign as well. So that's five of us signing. By three is 15 signatures.
Oh, okay. I thought for a second I was like, oh wow, 15 people. That's a lot. So okay, no, that it's see again, like I just it's so easy once you've got it all sort of underhand and like in that bullet form you presented it so nicely. Like I think that can be a point of stress for people because it's such an unknown. But yet that doesn't when it's all laid out like that. That's actually really simple. So as I said before, listen to your celebrants. We're running out of time, Glenn, because I knew
Oh,
this would happen because you and I are just
we talk too
intense with.
much.
We do. It's what fellow entertainers
We
do.
like the
But
we like the sound of our own voices.
but I do want to talk about something that as I said at the very beginning, where you and I vibe quite strongly on in the sense of is what we're both about, and it's about sort of injecting the fun into the weddings.
Mm.
So ceremony and reception because we're both MCs. What is some of the ways that you recommend that both you can personally interject fun and creativity into a wedding, but then also generally some great things you may have seen out there that couples are doing that really just take their wedding to the next level and actually make it so that people talk about them for the rest of their lives?
Oh, look, I'm a huge fan, as you pointed out in the intro, of doing it your way. And I'll
Mm,
always say to my couples, there's no right or wrong. There are legal things that have to be done, obviously, and we will take care of those. But beyond that, I encourage couples to research and research, jump on Pinterest or jump on YouTube or, watch Instagram videos, jump on websites, read up on traditions or rituals, but feel free to change those things. I recently performed a crowning ceremony, which is traditionally Greek in
mm,
somebody's ceremony using the Stephanias, and we did an abridged version because obviously in an Orthodox church, um, they are performing those ceremonies or services in Greek. Now, obviously, I
mm.
don't speak Greek. I can say a couple of phrases, probably not appropriate for this chat, um, but I came up with a way of modernizing that. So ways that you can bring fun is through traditions or rituals. You can, perform a hand fasting, an old pagan tradition, or incorporate a wine box ceremony, or incorporate children, or there's lots of weird and wonderful things that you can do. But beyond that, there's things that you can include in the ceremony that really make a pop. Before the ceremony, if I start there, I found out, well, I realized very quickly that guests don't always look happy, which surprised me
Oh.
at a wedding. They don't always look happy when they're kind of sitting down for the first time, and I don't think it's that they're unhappy. I think it's that
Mm,
they're not just sitting there smiling. And I wanted to come up with a way of encouraging people to actually enjoy,
mm,
the moment and almost give them permission to have fun and enjoy it, right?
mm,
So I came up with some ceremony activities. So I've got an activity that I perform a lot before the ceremony begins, and
mm,
that's largely for guests to get them excited. And it's how well kind of do they know the couple situation.
mm,
But then during the ceremony, there's some little fun activities that I've developed for the bride and groom, or bride and bride, or groom and groom, for them to kind of find some lightheartedness, some light and shade in
mm,
the ceremony, and some laughs and have a good time. So it's basically activities that I've created to bring some fun into them.
mm.
Um, but in addition to that, there's things like scissors, paper, rock for who goes first with vows. You know,
Yeah.
witness, lotto. You could draw names out to have your witnesses step up and sign papers.
Yeah.
It basically is endless. I've had people do shots at the end of their wedding ceremony to celebrate the fact they've just become legally married. I've got a groom next month who is doing the Russian tradition, sorry, Jewish tradition rather, breaking the glass.
Mm,
So in a napkin, or basically going to stamp on the glass, and the more breaks that glass tends to make is more of a positive thing for the marriage. There's lots of weird and wonderful things you can do. I guess my guidance for couples is to have a chat to your celebrant and get them to give you a list of different options if you like, but then look beyond that. I had a couple once said to me they met in sitting in a gutter outside of McDonald's after having a late night out and enjoying some drinks and probably having a few too many. They decided they'd have some sneaky cheeseburgers on the way home. Wow. And they wanted to incorporate that. They wanted Uber Eats to turn up, give everyone a cheeseburger while we told their story.
I love that.
So you can really make it your own. I've a couple of times now in 7 years of me being a marriage celebrant, I have performed 2 surprise vow renewals for elderly grandparents who were celebrating a milestone anniversary very close to the couple's wedding date. So I'd suggest, well, why don't we surprise them? So while we set up the couple and their love story, we then kind of give a nod to another beautiful love story that's, celebrated so many years, and we take them through the process of renewing their vows, and I give them a certificate, and everyone cries. We all cry, and we all, party the night away.
Oh, see, I love that. I love the tapestry of difference when people just take a moment to obviously leverage people like yours and I's sort of experience and things that we've seen before, but then also take it upon themselves to look a little bit introspectively and think, okay, it doesn't just have to necessarily, of course, if they want it, that's fine. If they just want the straight and narrow, let's just get married, let's do it. That's cool. But it's great when you're paying service to the guests that have come all this way as well to celebrate with you. And, I'm sure it's a big focus, like as you mentioned before, with the games you do and stuff. I do a lot of games myself during my receptions, and it's all about making sure you're definitely paying tribute to the guests that have come to make sure that they're happy as anything they possibly could be, so that they're going to give it all back to the couple at the end of the day. So I love that, and there's so many things you can do. Glenn, we have unfortunately ran out of time. It kills me.
What?
I know, it's insane. I totally expected this.
One thing I will say as well, because you mentioned it before, is choosing me as your celebrant. I'm a bit of a chameleon. I'm like you, Nathan, and because we have a background in entertainment, me in media as an actor, presenter, radio announcer, etc. I can be the chameleon. So if couples really want me to dress up as their favorite Shrek character, I'm happy to do that because I'm a performer.
Please invite me to that wedding.
I definitely will. Or if they want to keep it really traditional and beautiful, we can do that too.
Absolutely.
Just find someone that you really connect and vibe with. Because as civil marriage celebrants, as you mentioned, with almost 10,000 of us, there are so many amazing ones. And I get a bit of imposter syndrome sometimes when I look at other people's content. I go, oh, wow, they're so good. But
don't get like that.
There are so many people that are good. You've just
I look at your content and I think the same thing.
Stop it. Likewise, I think we both do that to each other. But just find someone you connect with, because at the end of the day, we're all human. And, the difference between, I think, you and me, Nathan, is with our backgrounds, we can play the chameleon. We can be whatever you want us to be for your wedding day, really. Not everyone can do that, I don't think. But couples are so sport with choice for both ceremony and MC.
And for every other category of vendor that they can possibly ever wish to have as well. It's a real game out there. But Glenn, you've definitely given, I'm sure, our couples listening today a lot to think about. Thank you so much for joining us, and I cannot wait to work with you again. It was a pleasure the last time, and I'm sure it'll be equally a pleasure the next time. Take care, and I'll catch you around.
Thanks for having me. Take care, guys.
Well, there you have it. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Just As Planned TV and podcast show. We hope you enjoyed this episode and found some valuable insights and tips to help you plan your dream wedding. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button on our channel and turn on notifications to stay up to date with our latest episodes. And if today's episode has inspired you in your own wedding journey, feel free to let us know in the comment section, or simply send through any burning questions you may have to hello@justasplan.com.au. We wish you all the very best in planning your big day, and we hope your wedding goes just as planned.